Alright, so this is my Stamcrow build for Blackwood. Okay, we're into our stats here. We're running 2200 stamina recovery, 800 health recovery, 800 mana recovery, 500 health recovery, 5200 weapon damage, 16% crit, 8.7k pen, 21k physical and spell resist, 1800 critical resist, 29.5k stamina, 28k health, and 13k magicka. Our block mitigation is 54%. Our sprint speed is 167. Our roll dog cost is 2800, and our break free is 5200. So with a potion up, our recoveries are 2700 stamina recovery, 600 health recovery, and 28% weapon crit. Our back bar is 23k resists. For our Mundus, we're running the Serpent. And for our food, we're running Dubious Chemi on Throne. You can run Takeaway Broth here, it's just a better version of this. I also recommend running a Vampire for this build, since our sustain can definitely handle it. And it gives us a lot of extra tankiness. For our race here, we're running the Orc for the Swift Warrior passive, which increases our weapon and spell damage by 258. And reduces the cost of sprint by 12%, increases our movement speed by 10%. Unflinching Rage gives us 1k health, and when we heal for 2300 health every 4 seconds. And increase our max stamina by 1k. Other races that will work well for this build are a Nord for the tankiness and all regen, and an Imperial for the more max stats and the extra sustain. For our sets here, running 5 medium, 2 heavy, 4 in pen, 1 reinforced, and 2 well fitted. Our in pen's all on the small pieces here, and then in pen on the legs, well fitted on the shoulders, well fitted on the helmet, and reinforced on our chest. Our heavy pieces are our chest and helmet. And for our sets here, running students, student gives us weapon damage, pen, weapon damage, and pen again. Whenever we damage someone who's off balance. So since we're using Dizzy, it'll set them off balance, and when we attack them, you will then proc students. So it gives us a nice bit of damage. And then we're running Alchemist here. Whenever we drink a potion on our back bar, it gives us 675 weapon and spell damage for 20 seconds, along with giving us a nice double max health. Our artillery is all infused weapon damage with a Malakath for that extra damage. We are also running a powered sword with a weapon damage glyph that gives us 4.5% more healing. If you don't want to run the weapon damage and spell glyph here, you can run restore stamina, or you can run escapist potions. For our shield, running sturdy, max stamina. And for our front bar, running shock. I think shock is the best thing to run here for this build. And running sharp and maul for that more pen and damage. And Vate Strand. If you do not want to run Malakath, or you don't have Malakath, this puts a student's ring here. And then just run a 2-piece monster set. So you can run 2-piece Blood Spawn, 2-piece Balorgs, and a 2-piece Engine Guardian. If you're running around Balorgs, I recommend putting on a recovery glyph here, because you will probably run into some sustain issues when you have Vampire. You won't run into any sustain issues if you don't have Vampire, but if you do have Vampire, then you probably will need a recovery glyph here. For my skills, we are running Executioners, Rally, Blast Bones, Dizzy Swing, Race Against Time, and Dawnbreaker Smitings. Our Execute, a Major Brutality, Blast Bone, great damage ability. Dizzy Swing, this one allows us to proc us off balance, which in turn lets us proc students. And then Race Against Time, this gives us Minor Force, increase our Major Expedition, and removes all snares for 2 seconds. Since Necro basically has infinite magicka, if you only run the Spearmender and the armor ability, this is a good way to drain our magicka as well. And then Dawnbreaker Smiting is just an AoE CC, does lots of damage. Our back bar is Spirit Guardian here. This gives us a ton of this gives us the 10% damage reduction, all that nice heal over time. Best Necro ability in my opinion. Armor gives us 9k extra pen against anyone. Vigor, Mortal Coil, nice heal, some stamina back, beckoning armor. You can run the other morph if you want more sustain. I'm just so used to running this morph that it's all I run on Necros now, but the other morph is probably better than this for this build since you have such a reliable stun. But I just like this because it just allows me to give me more survivability come to seeing anyone that is damaging me and I can't deal with. But the other morph will work really well for this build as well. Temporal Guard gives us minor protection, reducing our damage taken by 5%. Other things that you can run instead of Race Against Time is Detonating Siphon for more damage. living hexproof or a purge to reduce anything that's on you, and it reduces the cost of your abilities by 3%. Very nice to have. And then you have elude. Elude, it gives, since we're not running major evasion on this build, this will actually give you major evasion. This is another good ability you can run here. You could put this here for this, for risk against time, and then I would run escape push on the back bar, so we have a way to get out of CC. That's another good option you can run with. All those options work really well. It just comes down to personal preference. And then for pierced armor, you can switch this out for razor caltrops if you want to. This just allows you to slow enemies, and it's more of an AoE breach. This is a more single target breach. So this is better if you're only attacking a couple people, because this gives you the most single target DPS. And this is better if like your group needs pen or no one else is running pen, you're the one running pen. Then caltrops is pretty good because then you're fracturing everyone around you. It is very nice to have. So those are the couple options you can switch out. For passives, I would get all your passives here, except for Sneak. This is useless. We get all your heavy armor passives. Got your two-hand passives. All your wind shield passives. And I would get all your Gravelord passives, all your Bone Tyrant passives, all your Living Death passives. They're all very nice to have. Important things to note, you won't be roll dodging a lot in this build, so we only have 2 well fitted. You have like 2 roll dodges, that's all I would really ever use in a row. But the main reason you would roll dodge to get out of a situation, to create some more distance. It just help you get out of like out of predicament if you need to use it. That's why I like the 2 well fitted. Also, you'll be sprinting a decent amount, so that's why I have it. Just nice to have that extra stuff. The total pen on this build, by the way, with pierced armor is 23,000 when everything is procced. So that is actually an insane amount of pen. You have so much penetration on this build, and you also hit really hard. So let me show you our actual damage stats here. Let's go fully buff. Let's proc Vextran here. So Vextran is procced. Our damage on our front bar is 21,300, 16,300, and 21,300. Our heals on our back bar are 22,300, 26,000, and 3,400. That is not including our 8% from here, which gives us 8% on top of this stuff. And it's also not including this 2% healing received. And it's not including this 2% healing received. So it's more than it looks, but it's definitely still a lot of damage that we're pumping out right there. So that's for our damage and our healing. Without Alchemist procs, if you want to look, it's roughly 18,600, 14,300, 18,600, 22,500, 20,000, and then 3,000. When Alchemist isn't procced, your healing is a little bit on the lower side. So just keep that on mind, but when it's procced, your healing is definitely fine. Alright, so let's get into our CP here. We're running Deadly Aim, Master at Arms, Biting Aura, and Duelist Rebuff. So this is to get the most damage possible on this build. I definitely, if you want to switch this out, definitely would switch Deadly Aim out, because this Biting Aura gives us Dawnbreaker and Blast Bones, which is higher damage than Dizzy. So this overall will give you most damage than running Deadly Aim. So what I would switch Deadly Aim out for is either Resilience, give us more crit resist, make us in turn more tanky, or Swift Renewal, since all our healing on our back bar, 1, 2, 3, are all over time. So that would affect all 3 of those. It gives us actually a nice bit amount of more healing. On Vigor, I think it's like 1700. If you're wondering, it's a nice big chunk. That's without, of course, including the extra like 10% you get from the passives. For in order of passives I would go on this tree is Piercing for that pen, Tireless Discipline, Quick Recovery, Hardy, Elemental Aegis, up here into Precision, and then I would get Blessed. Those are the important passives, that's how I would do it, and then I would fill out these other passives as you see fit. Juggernaut for the red tree, Boundless Vitality, Ironclad, Rejuvenation, and important passive nodes, Defiance, Tumbling, basically Tenacity, and Heals Vigor. So a couple things to note. If you don't want to, so instead of Boundless Vitality, you definitely can run Slippery. So if you're going to run Slippery, I recommend running Prismatic Glyphs on the big pieces. I definitely think if you want to run I think that's better overall. In my opinion, running Slippery with Prismatic Glyphs on everything and then dropping Boundless Vitality is actually the best way to run this build. But I want to get as much damage as possible, so I'm not running Slippery. But if you want the best way to run the build, then I would put in Slippery here for Boundless Vitality, and then I would put in Prismatic Glyphs around on the big pieces, and that will give you overall the most well-rounded build with great sustain. And you will have your damage will be a little bit lower, but not that much lower. I just want to push my damage to the max on this build. That's why I have this. That's why I have this setup. But that is just an option. Or you can also switch out for Ironclad when I have a little lower resistance. But since I think running the Boundless Vitality and switching out the Prismatic Glyphs is the better option in my opinion. So what this does is this increase. So our break free is 5200 on this build. Every 21 seconds you get 5200 stamina for virtually free. So in turn that is roughly 500 recovery you're getting. 500 recovery. That's if you want to convert all the numbers, you're basically getting 500 extra recovery by running Slippery. So I definitely think it's actually better than running what I'm running here, but I want to push as much damage as possible, and that's the way to do it. But if you want like more sustain, than running Slippery instead of Boundless Vitality is definitely a good option. And then I would fill out these passes as you see fit. For important passes in here, you're running Breakfall for that 35% reduced damage, Liquid Efficiency, Steed's Blessing, Gritted Rider, and Warbound's what I like to run. You can run whatever you want here. This is all more personal preference. It's a green tree. It's nothing's really that viable in here. It's all just more for personal preference. So I'm going to show you how to play the build. I will kill this guy if I use the combo properly. So for example, we just want to auto attack Dizzy, and then you're going to medium weave into an execute, right? So the medium weave will stun them as you see there. That's very important to keep in mind. So the actual way you want to play the build is you want to first summon the Blast Bone, pierce it, then auto attack Dizzy, and then medium attack weave as the Blast Bone hits. That's the way you want to play it, the build properly right there. And ideally you want to medium weave when base trend is up, because it will actually proc it, and of course when Elk's up as well. Make sure you have all that stuff up. That's the best way to pull off the combo. But I just wanted to show you guys that medium weave with a Dizzy will stun an enemy like that. So that's the reason behind the medium weave, because it's like an instant stun. Like that's all you have to do, and it will proc us, and that will just stun them. It catches people off guard all the time. It's a very quick stun that people don't notice. A lot of people probably don't even know that a Dizzy with a quick medium weave will actually stun them. So you actually do a lot of bursts there if you do that properly, because what's hitting all at the same time is, so you proc Dizzy, so then when you proc Dizzy, then whatever hits next will then proc Stuns, and then you will medium weave, which is 5k, then you'll proc the Shock Glyph, which is 3k, then you're going to proc Vate Strand, which is 11k, and you're going to proc Blast Bone. So when all that procs at once, it's just an insane amount of damage, and for the most part, if people aren't blocking that, they'll just die, and then you just spam execute, and they'll just die from all the consistent damage you're out dealing. Make sure every enemy that you're fighting has this fracture on them. It's a lot of extra damage, very important note. We have 23k on this build. If you guys want to see the weapon damage here when I have Elk up, I will show you. My weapon damage with Elk up is 6400 if you're wondering. If you guys have any questions regarding the build, I'll be happy to answer it down in the comments below. So this is my Stamina PVP build for Blackwood, and yep, hope you guys enjoyed.